Today we are going to be making GIFs in class. You should have your document set like as such. Note that this is in pixels, not inches. So if you did not change it to pixels, you may want to close what you have and go make sure you change that. The reason we are doing it in pixels and not inches, can anyone tell me? Because why? Because it's a GIF. Where do you view GIFs? I'm not going to get into a GIF versus GIF debate, by the way, because you'll lose to me. But why? Where do you view GIFs? On the internet, online. And so why is setting something to pixels over inches important when you're viewing things only online? Can anyone tell me? It's not because it's an animation. Yeah, I mean, if it's in pixels, it's a little bit more compatible. It will, front row, please. If it's in pixels, it's more compatible in the fact that, like, if you're viewing it on your phone, it's going to modify it so that it fits to your phone screen, whereas if you're on the computer, it's going to modify it to fit there. So pixels are ideal when you are creating things that are only going to be viewed on the internet, okay? So I'm going to say create. And let me just go ahead and show you a couple of examples from, I did want to see my timeline, from past semesters or past classes. So we're going to be creating something similar to this today. Okay. Pretty simple. You guys, we're all going to create the same thing, and then your assignment is going to be to do your own thing. So here's another, this is what we did second hour. Okay. So you should have your blank document open. The first thing that we're going to do is we're going to fill the background to be buffalo brown. So go ahead and click on your foreground color swatch over here in the lower corner. And buffalo brown is 52. Just click on your foreground color. Your buffalo brown is 52, 22, and 2. That is buffalo brown. When you have that, say OK. And then Shift F5 to fill with foreground color, and that is brown. Okay. Shift F5, contents, foreground color, OK. Once you have your background filled with the brown, let's go ahead and get our text tool. Okay. And you can choose your font type. We're going to set our font size to be between 65 and 72 point font. Does anyone remember how tall, if I were to print this, how tall is 72 point font? No. It's in inches. How many inches tall is 72 point font? 1 inch. So most Word documents, when you're creating a document for, let's say, your English class, and you go to select the font size, most of them go up to 72 point font because that is 1 inch tall. Okay? So if your document, if you have your ruler showing, is about 1.5 inches tall, and we do a 65 point font, that's going to fill up almost the whole page. So I actually don't want to do 65. I want to do something a little bit lower. I may go to 60 and just see what that looks like and then change it from there. Make sure that your font color is white because that's not going to really show up. So 60 is even too big. So I'm going to size mine down a little bit. So mine's actually looking good about between 35 and 40. I actually might go a little bit lower. 30. 33. Looks good. Okay. You are going to write out Go Buffs, however, so that it does animate and So you can't animate it, I suppose. Each letter needs to be its own layer. Okay? So I'm going to hit my G for go click somewhere else, get the O. I'll do it in all caps just so that it stays consistent. Go somewhere else, hit my B, and then we're going to organize these in a second, but I'm just trying to get them all on the screen for now. I'm going all caps, you don't have to. So I want go buffs and an exclamation point. And then I want you to get to your move tool. Note that they are all on their own layer over here. Okay, and we're going to organize those in just a minute when everyone's done getting that on the screen. So now you should have your move tool once you have all those letters on your screen. And I want you to start trying to line some of these up. Remember, I have my move tool with auto select on, so that if I click near the layer, it's going to pick up the right layer. As you are doing this, something that I haven't shown you yet this semester, some of you may know it from previous classes, you can set up guides to help make sure that everything's lined up straight. I know when you're doing it, you're going to get these pink lines, and that's great, but sometimes those guides can help a little bit too. So if you have your rulers on, if you do not, push Control-R to show your rulers. Okay. Once you've done that, if you click anywhere in the rulers, either on the side or along the top, and drag it down, it's going to help create a guide so that you can make sure things are lined up. Okay, so what I like to do sometimes is I like my guides to be about in the center, so 1.5 would be what? 3/4? That isn't right? Oh, it's a little more than 1.5. About in the center, and then my actual document is 3.5. So what's 3.5, class? What's half of 3.5? Good job. Thanks for doing that math for me. Really appreciate you. Okay, so I might put some guides in there to help me make sure that things stay lined up. I know where the center of my document is. I'm actually going to line mine up all the way across the top. Make sure, someone get the door please. Make sure that all the layers are going in the correct order. That's going to help you later on. Okay. So I'm going to make sure this is all lined up. I'm going to leave some room down here because I think what I'm going to actually do is go in and bring the buffalo and make it move across the screen. That's what I think I'll do. So if everyone could do that then and leave room for the buffalo to go across the screen somehow, that would be awesome. If you don't have room because you already set your font size too large, it's fine. We'll figure it out from there. Okay, so I've got it all lined up, yes? The next thing I want you guys to do is you can clear these guides. If you're like, okay, I'm tired of looking at them, you can just go view, clear guides, and they go away. The next thing that I want to do is I want to add a little bit of layer style to my text just to make it look a little nicer. I only have to do this to one letter, and then I can duplicate the effect to the rest of the layers, and I'll show you how to do that. So I'm going to go to my G, I'm going to go to FX, and you guys play with whatever effects you want. Okay? So I personally am going to add some bevel and embossing, maybe a drop shadow to mine. Mess with some of these settings. Play with what some of these might look like. Add a drop shadow. Remember, you can always pick up drop shadows and move them. Say OK. Okay, to duplicate your effect to all the rest of the layers, similar to when we Alt, click, and drag out. Let me get here. Alt, click, and drag out to duplicate a layer. You can do the same thing with effects. So if I Alt and click on the word effects in my layer panel, that's the important part. It's in my layer panel, the word effects. Don't Alt and click on anything below it because it'll only copy that specific thing. So if I want the whole effect to be copied, I want to click on the word effects. If I Alt and click on the word effects and drag, and I can drop that to each layer, and that duplicates that effect for me so I don't have to stress about it not carrying over or making sure I have every setting correct. Okay. I know it's a little dark on your screen or on my projector, but there are effects there. Okay. The last thing that I want you to do is I want you to go out to your Google Classroom, and there is a Power Buffalo that I attached to this assignment. Download that Power Buff and get it opened in Photoshop. I know you're ready to move on when you have this open in Photoshop. Okay, so you have this image open in its own tab. Some of you have already dragged it over. That's fine. But all we are going to do is we're going to get our Move tool, pick up our Buffalo, go up to our document, drag, and drop it in. It might show up super big because it's a large file, which is good because that means it's good quality. So I'm going to drag and resize it down so that I can continue working with it. Like I said, I'm going to make my Buffalo kind of animate across the screen. So I'm going to make it about this size. Maybe, I might go just a little bit bigger. Go a little bit smaller than that. Okay. And what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to pick up my Alt and I'm going to duplicate this layer out like this so that it moves. The smaller jumps or the smaller spacing, the more smooth maybe the transition looks. Pay attention to those pink guidelines so that they stay in line and you don't like go up and down zigzaggy like the Buffalo went a little loco. Had too much Red Bull, that's right. I'm going to actually make it look like it charges off the screen, so I'm going to take this Buffalo all the way off. Okay. So if you Alt and clicked on the most recent one, in the sense that if I continue, I didn't drag all the time from the original, these should end up in order. Okay. After you get all of those duplicated so they look like they move across the screen, and maybe actually I might come in and, oops, whoa. Okay. I'm going to go in and I'm going to turn off the visibility on all of my layers. Okay, so I'm going to turn off the visibility on all my layers so I just have the brown box, and then let's get to animating. So to get to our animation portion of this lesson, I am going to click Window, Timeline. Window, then Timeline, and that is what gets me this area where I can start creating my GIF, okay? So in the center here, and I know it's hard to see from the projector, especially if you're towards the back of the classroom, there is something, I think it says create video timeline, and there's an arrow next to it. Click on the arrow next to that, and we're going to say create frame animation. Okay, remember to get this, we go Window, Timeline. Okay, and then that opens this up for us. Okay, and then I'm going to click the little arrow and say create frame animation. Then I'll click that button now or the words create frame animation. And that's going to get us here. Take a look at my screen for a second just so I can explain a few settings. And again, I know it's really tiny from the projector, but we'll be okay. Okay, so down here at the bottom, that 0 seconds, and there, if you click on that arrow, there's options. That's how long the slide or that frame is going to appear on the screen. And so I know to you 5 seconds seems like no time at all, but consider it like a microwave minute. 5 seconds when you're waiting on your food to cook when you're hungry is forever, right? So same thing with GIFs. We're really wanting to stick with like the 0.2 to 0.5 second range. For this, we're going to go with 0.2, and then you can actually set individual areas of your GIF to be different lengths of time, okay? So, I've got my first slide or my first frame. Down here, along this bar that has like the play, fast forward, rewind, that sort of thing, there is it looks similar to a create new layer button, but in this case, it's going to duplicate the selected frame. So I'm going to click that button. I'm going to go to my layers panel, and I'm just going to turn on the G. Okay, then I'm going to say again, duplicate frame, turn on the O. You guys catching what's going on now? Duplicate the frame, turn on the B. Duplicate the frame, turn on the U. Keep doing that until you get to the exclamation point. Don't go on don't go on with the buffalo yet. If you put a period instead of an exclamation point, you just change it in the layer. It's not a big deal. And then go ahead and hit play and just see what you have going on so far. Look at all you. Satisfying? Okay. Did anyone not get this? Not get to this point? All right, I'll come help you. Okay, let's focus back up. Before we get to animating the buffalo, I want to animate so that the text itself flashes on the screen as a whole. Okay? So to do this, we're going to create another new layer, or duplicate the frame in the timeline. Hide everything that is showing right now. Okay. Duplicate the frame, hide everything that's showing. Duplicate the frame again. Actually, no, we're not going to do that. I lied. If you click on the layer before where everything is showing, and you say duplicate frame, that's going to create a duplicate, and it's now frame 10. Drag what is now frame 10 to the end of your frames. Okay, did we go through that again? Nope, you got it? All right. So, what I want you to do is I want you to click on frame 9. Duplicate that frame. That duplication becomes frame 10, and I click and I drag it to the end. Okay? I can click on frame 10 now, the blank one, duplicate it, drag it to the end. So all I'm doing is instead of duplicating frames, hiding, unhiding things, I'm just working smarter, not harder, and duplicating what I already have down here below. Okay? So duplicate, end. So I should go from, and it kind of spazzes really quick. Do you see how quick 0.2 seconds goes when you have a lot of words? So I'm going to, on frame 11 and 13, frame 11 and 13, I'm going to make those to flash for half a second and see what that does to my GIF. So it's even probably still too quick, so I may go to a full second and see what that does. Or say other, and I can go 0.75 seconds and see what that does. No, that's better. Okay, so that's what I mean by you can adjust individual frames to be their own length of time. Okay? Alright, the last thing that I want to do is I want to animate that buffalo sliding across my screen. So I'm going to, your last frame should be a frame that has the whole thing on there. So let's be there. I want that go buffs to stay there while that flashes across my screen. I'm going to duplicate my slide. Change the timing on this one to be let's go 0.1. Let's just be rebels and see what happens there. Okay? And I'm going to turn on the first buffalo. Okay? I went to my last slide. I said duplicate, which got me this. I changed the timing on it to be 0.1 seconds. And I turned on the very first buffalo over in my layers panel. Okay? Now I'm going to duplicate my slide. I'm going to turn off that first buffalo and turn on the second one. Duplicate, turn off the second one, turn on the third one. If your buffaloes are in order, which they should have been, this should be an easy process, but some of you may have to hunt and find for what the right order of buffalo is because you got a little crazy with your duplicating. Okay? And I'll end with turning off that last buffalo. So now let's play and see what happens. Not too bad, not too bad. Okay, I'll come around and help those that need individual help now. So saving this, let's focus up, Nathan, Matt. Saving this is going to look a little bit different. So if you've already done File, Save As, close out of that. Okay, you are going to go File, Export, Save for Web. File, Export, Save for Web. Wilfredo, close that. File, Export, File, Export, Save for Web. Side conversations need to stop, please. Okay. You're going to say, once it's loaded, to stop getting the spinning wheel of death. Okay, we're going to push save. If you named it correctly, go ahead and make sure that you save that name. I'm going to add in mine a 4th hour, since that's what the hour we're in. And I'm just going to say save. Yeah, I would save it to your H drive, sorry. Mine was already in my H drive, that's why I didn't go through that. I bet a lot of you saved it to your downloads or somewhere else. If you don't know, you can always go try to say export it again. Okay? After you've exported it, you need to file save as and also save the PSD file because you want to be able to go back and edit this later maybe. Okay? You may want to go back and edit this later. So please make sure that you also save the PSD file. There's nothing for you to turn in right now. You're going to be turning in your product. So your assignment tomorrow is to create your own GIF. My preference is that you create something that promotes school spirit, but if you want to create something else, that's fine too. Okay? That is what you will be assigned to do tomorrow.